8 days ago, on the Champs-Élysées, Tadej Pogačar won the Tour de France for the 5th time. In 123 years of this race, only 4 other men have ever done that, and the 5th win broke every one of them. Nobody has ever won 6, so the record is 5. The record books say Pogačar has just equaled it, and that should be the story of the summer. Except that last week, on a podcast recorded in the middle of the race, the most infamous champion this sport has ever produced looked into a camera and said, in effect, the record is not 5, and he should know, because he says the record is his.
This elite club of 5. Well, guess what? He doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe that at all. He knows what the record is. So he's not going to sit out a year.
Yeah. The voice belongs to Lance Armstrong. The exchange started innocently. Bradley Wiggins, sitting 3 feet away, suggested that 1 year Pogačar might skip the Tour altogether and hand it to his young teammate. Isaac Del Toro Armstrong did not just disagree. Listen to it in full.
But I can also see a time where Pogačar says, I'm not doing the Tour this year.
Yeah, I could see that
I'll
too.
do the Vuelta and the Giro. Del Toro, you can do the Tour.
I could see that.
Yeah. You're absolutely wrong. You're 100% wrong about that, because guess what? As it stands today, I mean, I think we all would put our hand in a fire and knowing that Tadej Pogačar is going to win. I hate to get way, way, way ahead of ourselves, but we know he's going to win this Tour.
The record Armstrong means is 7. The 7 consecutive Tour de France he won between 1999 and 2005. And officially, that number does not exist. Not exists with an asterisk. Does not exist. In October 2012, the United States Anti-Doping Agency published 1,000 pages of evidence with sworn testimony from 26 witnesses, 11 of them his own teammates. Armstrong was stripped of all 7 titles and banned from sport for life. 3 months later, on a sofa opposite Oprah Winfrey, he admitted all of it. Yes to EPO. Yes to blood doping. Yes for all 7 tours. So today, Pogačar's 5 official wins are being measured by Armstrong himself against 7 wins that were deleted from the book. That is the comparison nobody wants to make out loud. So let's make it properly. The trophies, the mountains, the numbers. And the question that sits underneath all of it. First, understand what 5 means, because familiarity has dulled it. Jacques Anquetil got there first, in 1964. It took a decade for Eddy Merckx, the greatest cyclist who ever lived, to match him. Merckx went for a 6th in 1975 and was beaten. Bernard Hinault won his 5th in 1985, finished 2nd the following July, and retired. Miguel Indurain won 5 in a row, went for 6 in 1996, cracked so completely on the road to Les Arcs that within months he had left the sport. 62 years of history, 4 legends, and the same wall at the end of it. The 5th win was the summit for every single one of them. Pogačar reached that summit this July at 27 years old. Merckx was 29. And the manner of it, a tour billed as the closest in years, was effectively over in 6 days. One attack over the Tourmalet on stage 6, and when Jonas Vingegaard's race ended against the tarmac in week 3, Pogačar rolled into Paris 6 minutes and 26 seconds clear of the field. He is not at the wall, he is at the wall with room to spare, which is exactly Armstrong's point. Now the other half of the comparison, and the part everyone would rather skip. Armstrong's 7 were not merely doped, they were the most sophisticated doping operation the sport has ever seen. And when the sport finally caught him, it faced a problem it had never faced before. The rule had always been simple. The cheat loses the title, the man behind inherits it. Floyd Landis, 2006, title handed to Oscar Pereiro. Alberto Contador, 2010, title handed to Andy Schleck. But when the UCI stripped Armstrong's 7 tours and went looking for someone to give them to, it stopped. Because of the 21 podium places from those 7 tours, 20 belong to riders who have since been tied to doping, by confession, by sanction, or by the numbers in their own blood. By most reckonings, the one clean result is a single 3rd place from 1999. The sport looked at 7 editions of its greatest race and admitted, in writing, that it could not find a winner. 7 blank lines in the record book, and the man responsible stood on the podium in Paris in 2005 and said this.
And finally, the last thing I'll say for the people that don't believe in cycling, the cynics and the skeptics, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry you can't dream big, and I'm sorry you don't believe in miracles. But this is one hell of a race. This is a great sporting event, and you should stand around and believe. You should believe in these athletes, and you should believe in these people. And I'm a fan of the Tour de France for as long as I live, and there are no secrets. This is a hard sporting event, and hard work wins it. So,
the comparison. Start with the record book because it is not close. Armstrong, at his peak, was a Tour de France machine and almost nothing else. 7 Julys, built for one race, raced for one race. Beyond it, a world title back in '93, a handful of classics, not one of cycling's 5 monuments. Pogačar has 12 monuments, second all-time behind only Merckx, 5 tours and a Giro, one at the first attempt in the middle of a tour-winning streak. 2 world championships. This spring alone, he won Strade Bianche, Milan-San Remo, and a record-equaling 3rd Tour of Flanders, before the Tour in the same season. Armstrong sacrificed the entire sport for one race. Pogačar is collecting the entire sport as a hobby, and the one prize that escapes him makes the point better than any he has won. Before the season, he was asked whether he would rather win Paris-Roubaix or a 5th Tour. And he chose Roubaix because he said there is a bigger difference between 0 and 1 than between 4 and 5. In April, Roubaix said no again. Wout van Aert this time on the velodrome. The greatest rider of his generation spent the spring chasing a race he cannot win, then won the one everyone expected by 6.5 minutes. That is what the record book says, 5 against 0, and the 5 is not even the impressive part. But the record book is the comparison Armstrong already lost in a courtroom. The one he would prefer is the road, so let's go there. Plateau de Belay, in the Pyrenees. Armstrong won there twice, in 2002 and 2004. His best time up that mountain, 45 minutes and 31 seconds, was set at the height of the most advanced doping program in sporting history. Marco Pantani on EPO in 98, 43:20. That stood as the record for 26 years. In 2024, at the end of a 200-kilometer stage with 5,000 meters of climbing, Tadej Pogačar went up Plateau de Belay in 39 minutes and 50 seconds, 5 minutes and 41 seconds faster than Armstrong's best, not seconds, minutes, and it is not one mountain. Alpe d'Huez, Armstrong's fastest, about 37.5 minutes in a time trial. Pogačar, this July, 35:27. The engine tells the same story. Armstrong's VO2 max, measured in the lab across 7 years by physiologist Ed Coyle, peaked at 81. The independent estimate of Pogačar's engine, published this summer, we made a whole film about it, is 96. On every mountain where the 2 men can be measured against each other, Pogačar is faster than Armstrong ever went. Faster, in fact, than the entire pharmaceutical era at its worst. Sit with that sentence because both halves of it matter. Because that sentence has been said before. Every era believes its champion, this sport has earned its skepticism the hard way, and he has never failed a test, was Armstrong's favorite line for a decade. It was true, and it meant nothing. So say it plainly, faster than the EPO era is either the greatest natural outlier in the history of endurance sport or history repeating itself. What is actually different this time is the evidence. Armstrong won his first tour before a test for EPO even existed, and the biological passport arrived 3 years after his last. He raced in the gap between the crime and the forensics. Pogačar races inside the most invasive testing regime in world sport. At this tour, the testers knocked on the yellow jersey's door at 5 in the morning and on Vingegaard's at 2. His physiology was not leaked from a private lab. It was reconstructed from the open road by independent scientists, checked against the one champion who ever published his numbers. And the speed has honest explanations that simply did not exist in 1999. A sport that eats 120 grams of carbohydrate an hour, lives at altitude, and has spent 20 years turning aerodynamics and training load into science. None of that is proof. Proof is not available in this sport. It never has been. What is available is this: one of these two men hid everything and attacked anyone who asked. The other publishes his racing, answers the question every July, and keeps opening the door at 5 a.m. That is not the same sport. It is not the same man. So, the comparison. On paper, it is a massacre. 5 tours against none, 12 monuments against none. The record book does not even let Armstrong into the room. On the road, it is a massacre in the same direction. The clean errors champion is minutes faster than the doped one ever was. By every measure this sport can write down, Tadej Pogačar has already beaten Lance Armstrong, except one, because the only place Armstrong still holds a record is inside Pogačar's head, and Armstrong knows it. That is what the podcast clip really was, not analysis, a message. 7 exists in memory, if not in ink, and champions do not build careers to stop level with somebody else. Pogačar says there is no number. This is also the man who shrugged that 4 to 5 is a smaller step than 0 to 1, and then made 5 look routine. Men who talk like that are not finished counting, so the record book says 5. The man the record book erased says 7. And somewhere between those two numbers, a 27-year-old is quietly deciding how this story ends. 5 down. You tell me what he's counting to. 5 or 7? Leave your answer below.